What's up, guys? It's Master Beetle here, otherwise known as Gianni, down in Orlando, Florida, and I wanted to give you my own personal Brandt profile. It's not Deleter Brandt, but I did want to give my own personal Brandt profile because I did do Profile on Messiahs, which you should check out, by the way. Delete Messiah. Check that out. Like, comment, subscribe to that video. And I did do a profile of Deleters, and I did do a profile of Cyber Dragons, which I will be updating. I do have to test out some theories first. So this is it. This is Brandt. This is the final link Joker deck that I haven't profiled yet. So I run 2 of the grade 4 Brandt. The reason that I run 2 of the grade 4 Brandt is because we're not really focused on him. Because for the most part, we are still in a force-heavy metagame, and I'm not saying that Brandt's the best deck out there or that it's going to be an anti-meta pick, but this is because we are in a force-heavy metagame that I'm really just focusing on regular Brandt. Now, regular Brandt only does affects crits and heals, while grade 4 Brandt affects draws, crits, heals, and fronts. If you get to it, that's great. Ride grade 4 Brandt. If you don't get to it, that's fine. Because since we are in a force-heavy meta, crits and heals are basically all you need to affect. So I run 4 of him. Then I run 4 of Decale Ultimata. I run 4 Decale Ultimata because of the way this deck works. He's a good beater. He helps facilitate Brandt's skills, that they check more triggers, that you want them to check, you want them to give him more likely chance of checking heals, and he's constantly 23, so he's generically hard to get rid of unless they have retire or bind. Which right now only Kagero has retire, consistent retire of all the relevant force decks right now. So that's my grade 3/grade 4 lineup. On to grade 2s. You run 4 of Letterluck. You run Letterluck because he gets fat when you check, when you drive check Starhulks, plus 10 for each Starhulk you check. And also, he again facilitates Brandt. When you intercept, if you have a Starhulk Vanguard, check the top card of your opponent's deck. If it's the trigger you want, like a heal or crit, leave it on top. If it's not, or it's another trigger that you don't want them to hit, bind it. And for my other grade 2, I'm actually running 4 of Burst Monk. Blast Monk. You run Blast Monk because it's, unlike Vect, it's guaranteed to bind whatever target it's trying to bind. And if you bind a grade 2 or greater, you get to Soul Charge 1, which helps you since most of the time you're going to be on grade 3 Brandt. So I created this deck overall to not have resource problems, except when it comes to Counterblast, because obviously this deck has no countercharge engine, but you just kind of have to deal with it and manage it. And then I still run 4 of Geely. He's still your early game ride target, helps you get advantage early, and they'll generally try and guard it early. I always try to put an 8k behind it to make it 18, so that they have to block it with a 20k shield to make it no pass. If they're not on a grade 1. If they're on a grade 1, most of the time they're gonna no guard it, and you're gonna get your plus. That's it for the grade 2s. On to the grade 1s. Now, the reason that I run this Brandt deck this way is most people try to make Brandt a control deck, but that's not the way this deck is intended to be played. This deck is intended to be played as an aggressive strategy that makes it so your opponent cannot heal. All you have to do is deal your opponent 6 damage instead of them healing out and then you lose your pressure. No, this deck says you die at 6 damage. So I run 4 of Starhulk Gikkers. I run 4 Gikkers because if I'm going second, I love doing a grade 1 rush with Gikkers. I ride a grade 1, call a Gikkers in the front row on the other side. Soul Blast Lurie, look at the top card of their deck. It's not a trigger, cool. Swing with my Vanguard first. If they don't block it, attack with Gikkers. If I put a trigger on Gikkers, that's 18. They need a 15 to block it. If I don't, this is another attack that I'm forcing them to block. So that's why I run Gikkers at 4. And then the second ability is also kind of nice. When you use them to guard, If that attack didn't hit at the end, CB1, call it to rear guard. So that's also nice. And then you're basically maxing out your Star Hulk package, Star Hulk Chitrel. You're running Chitrel at 4 just for the consistency of riding the Star Hulk grade 3 and grade 4 that you need to ride. If you don't ride Brandt, or if you don't have a way of riding grade 4 Brandt, you will lose the game. That's just the way this deck is, and that's just the, and arguably in my opinion, the best way you have to play it. His skill is CB1, mill the top 4. If there's a Star Hulk grade 2 or greater, add it to hand. So sometimes he works, sometimes he doesn't, but you do have, let's see here, 6. You have 10 targets in the deck. So sometimes he works, sometimes he doesn't. This is your only consistency engine that you have. And then for my final, I run another card that helps you facilitate stole, is Magnetic Resonance. What she does is, at the end of the battle that she boosted, my opponent didn't call a trigger, put it into soul, give another one of my units plus 10. I love doing this in conjunction of riding Geely first, putting that behind my Vanguard, calling a grade 2, or if they're at a grade 1, calling a grade 1 to the front row on the other side, show them into soul, and now this is also a beater that they need at least 15 to block. So that's why I run this at 3. And I will be doing match videos of this deck just because I don't have it on the channel, and I think that would be something that you would guys like to see. I don't know. If you want to see match videos of this deck, comment down below and tell me. If not, then I just won't do them. So, yeah. I run 8 crit. You run 8 crit just because of the way this, again, this deck is an aggressive style deck. You want to kill your opponent as fast as possible. You run 4 draws because you don't have any real plus or draw engine, so you still need the draws, and grade 1 space is super tight, like in all Link Joker decks. Most Link Joker decks don't have room for the grade 1 PG. And then obviously 4 heal. So yeah, this is my take on the Brandt build. This is what I feel like is the best version of the deck. If you don't think so, comment down below, tell me why, we could have a conversation about it, maybe we can make a better build. Anyways, I'm Master Beetle, this is my deck profile, and like, comment, subscribe, peace.